Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into another explainer, and we've got a seriously fantastic foundational topic lined up for you. We're looking straight at the Chapter 5, Class 9th science text to uncover what I like to call the ultimate cellular matchup. We are talking plant versus animal cells. We're going to break down the exact structural differences that literally separate a blade of grass from the dog running through it. All right, let's dive right into this. Now, you look out your window, right? It's pretty obvious that plants and animals seem totally different on the outside. A towering oak tree doesn't move around, and a flying bird doesn't exactly sprout leaves. But to truly understand what separates them, we can't just look at the surface. We need to investigate their microscopic foundations. So, what actually makes a plant cell so dramatically different from an animal cell down at that microscopic level? Well, to answer that, we've got to look closely at the cell itself.
Section 1. Shared cellular building blocks. Before we spot the differences, let's establish their common ground.
Because what's really interesting here is that both cell types actually share these 5 foundational components. Whether you're looking at a plant cell or an animal cell, you're going to find a plasma membrane acting as a boundary, kind of holding the whole shebang together. Inside both, you'll find a liquid material called cytoplasm just filling up the space. They both have mitochondria, which, you can think of as the little energy generators. And as the source text highlights, both utilize the endoplasmic reticulum, or ER, as well as ribosomes. It's great to just get these similarities out of the way early on so we can really focus our attention on where they diverge.
Section 2. Architecture and storage.
So let's start with a really foundational piece of plant architecture, the cell wall. The science text defines it as an extra layer present outside the plasma membrane. Think of it as this rigid, protective outer armor. It acts as a super tough boundary beyond that standard plasma membrane we just talked about. And that brings us to our very first major difference. The plant cell has this extra cell wall present right on the outside, but the animal cell, it relies only on that single plasma membrane. No extra armor. This rigid extra wall is a massive structural difference, and it defines exactly how a plant is able to hold itself up and stand tall. Next up is the vacuole. This acts as a cellular storage compartment. You can basically picture it as the cell's internal warehouse for holding on to things. Now, the crucial point here is that plant cells have a distinctly large vacuole present, whereas animal cells, well, they either have very small vacuoles or they're just completely absent. Plants clearly have massive internal storage needs compared to animals. And according to our source text, this stark contrast in vacuole size actually marks our third major difference between the two cell types. Section 3. Positioning the control center. Our source text identifies this as the second major cellular difference, and honestly, it's a fascinating spatial relationship. In the animal cell, the nucleus is positioned exactly where you might expect a control room to be, right smack in the center. But in the plant cell, things are a bit different. The nucleus is pushed all the way over towards the side, or the periphery. Why? Well, remember that massive storage vacuole we just looked at a second ago? Because that huge vacuole takes up literally so much room in the plant cell, it physically forces the nucleus out of the center and off to the side.
Section 4. Special cellular abilities. Let's see how this builds into the unique superpowers each cell type possesses.
First up on the special abilities list are chloroplasts, which are a type of plastid. These are organelles specifically required for the process of photosynthesis. They are essentially the ultimate food-making factories. They enable a cell to literally capture energy from the sun and create its own fuel. Pretty amazing, right? And this brings us to our fourth major difference. The plant cell has these chloroplasts present specifically to execute the process of photosynthesis. Since animals don't produce their own food internally, we have to consume other things for energy, the animal cell has absolutely no chloroplasts present. They completely lack these structures because they just don't need that particular superpower. But hey, don't worry, animal cells have a special trick of their own. Let's take a look at centrioles, which are found within the centrosome. The source text defines a centriole as a rounded body that helps in the division of the cell. Think of them as highly specialized tools that step up to play a major role right when it's time for a cell to replicate and divide. And this brilliantly illustrates our fifth key difference. The animal cell utilizes these centrioles to assist with cell division, while the plant cell lacks them entirely. This is a highly specific structural tool unique only to the animal side of our cellular matchup.
Section 5. The final matchup. Let's bring all these facts together into one clear picture.
All right, so here is your ultimate study guide cheat sheet. To quickly recap, Plants have that extra outer armor of the cell wall, they have massive storage vacuoles, and chloroplasts for making their own food. Animals lack those, but they exclusively feature centrioles for cell division, and they keep their nucleus right in the center. Finally, this brings us to the sixth difference from the source material: size. Thanks to that thick wall and giant vacuole, plant cells are generally much, much larger than animal cells. To wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought based on everything we just covered. What would animal cells be capable of if they didn't lack chloroplasts? I mean, imagine for a second if your own animal cells had that plant superpower and could perform photosynthesis. You could literally step out into the sun to get your energy for the day. No lunch break required. It's a wildly fascinating thought, and I think it serves as a wonderful reminder of just how perfectly specialized these microscopic foundations really are for the organisms they build. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and keep exploring.